All right, chat. It's your moment of glory. It's the moment you've been waiting for. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the door is to camera left. I think. You need to go that way. Leave and come back later after you've seen this movie. We are talking full spoilers for Doctor Strange. This is your last warning. I don't want any hateful comments. I'm going to get them anyway. But this is your warning. We're going full Doctor Strange spoilers starting now. JC, what did you think of the film?
I want you to go first.
Okie dokie. All right. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, I talked about recording my own thoughts also on Doctor Strange previously, before this. After the movie, leaving it, similar to how you said with Spider-Man No Way Home, I was stoked for the cameos we got and the appearances we got, which I'm sure we'll deep dive later. I thought elements of the film were really fun and exciting. After giving it some time, this is a fun movie with fun moments, but it is not a great movie. It's just okay. Not bad, not, the best thing ever. It's like, it's okay. A lot of fun moments, a lot of enjoyment. Not the quality, but at least like where it would rank amongst things. Yes, Mrs. G hits it right on the head with one of the negatives. The stupid music fight. That's the lowest. That's the lowest part. So yeah, that would be my thoughts.
Okay. Hell yeah.
What about you?
I hated it.
Okay.
I genuinely hated it.
Okay.
I left super unhappy, but I was like, I'm going to give it time. I'm going to sleep on it. I slept on it. I woke up the next morning disliking it even more than I did when I left the theater. It's now been a couple days, and I still, hate is a strong word. I really did not enjoy, and I thoroughly disliked this movie.
I almost thought he was going to do the 180 and say, hate's a strong word. I really hate this movie.
I despise this movie. I loathe this movie. No, I did not like this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Oof.
All right. Where do we start? What makes you despise the movie?
I think one of my big things, so I'm going to go ahead back to the whole, they set a camera on a tripod and filmed it. I'm sitting in this big budget Hollywood movie in a movie theater, and I'm comparing it to Moon Knight, which is a streaming service show. And I'm like, Moon Knight was so masterfully shot. And then this film, to me, was so boring to look at. It was just, they literally, camera on a tripod, film it, okay, we're done. And that leads into, to me, every single actor in that movie phoned in their performances. I thought the acting was really bad on everyone. And it's shocking because, like, I know these are good actors. I've seen all these actors in other projects put on really good performances. So I don't know if, the director didn't care, which is Sam Raimi, I didn't know if there's, studio issues or what. I just thought the acting performances for me were so bad. And the new, I'm not familiar with the actress's name, but the woman who plays America.
It's an interesting spelling, so I don't know how to pronounce it either. But
this is going to be very harsh, but I don't know how she made it past auditions. I was so unimpressed with her acting. And granted, I don't think she was given much in terms of character because the writing was also bad, in my opinion. But there was no point in this film, when you're watching a film and you're invested in the film and you're not thinking about the fact that you're sitting in a movie theater watching a film.
Right.
I don't know that there was a single point where I was actually invested in this film. From the visuals to the acting to the writing, there's a lot of technical mistakes, very amateurish mistakes I noticed within the film. And the whole time I'm just audibly gasping or making hand gestures the whole time because I was so unhappy with the film. Even as I'm sitting there watching it, I just couldn't get into it. Everything about it, to me, was really poorly done.
Okay. Interesting. All right. What do you think is the biggest factor to lead to your experience, like that negative side.
Like in terms of what makes the film the way it is in my eyes?
Yes.
When I watch this film, I see multiple different films.
Okay.
What I see is there is clearly, in my opinion, a struggle between director and company in the post-production cycle.
Okay.
I think Disney wanted to do something different, like Eternal's different. And again, I don't want to poo-poo them for doing different things. They just, in my opinion, haven't done it right yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, let's bring Sam Raimi in. He can be a new thing. And they either didn't give him enough power or they gave him too much power. And then in post-production, they didn't like his product. So they tweaked it and meddled in it themselves. And it became so convoluted and jumbled that it was significantly worse than just a pure Disney film and significantly worse than just a pure Sam Raimi film, because it was confusing and muddled, and the battle between the two left us with a product that to me was disjointed, cheap, corny, and just poorly executed on all facets.
Okay. All right. Now, I know, like you said, they wanted to try to do something different. I know initially they wanted that horror vibe, which they definitely did in this film. Holy crap, how many jump scares did we have? I know they wanted to go with that aspect, and originally they had the director from Sinister, which I'm blanking on his name right now.
Also blanking.
But I know he left the project, and then Raimi had come in. He still gets executive producer credit. I don't know if that's because of his work as a director prior, or if he just swapped roles. Yeah, it's one of those things, like, it would be interesting to see what was intended. I mean, Ant-Man was good, but also we had a director leave there. Crud.
I think you're right.
Yes, thank you. It would have been interesting to see how that worked out, too. Like, I know, obviously Marvel's got this big overall plan, and, you need to hit certain key points, but I'm curious as to why there was, like, that friction between director and studio in both instances, and I'm curious how this would have been different if that director stayed on.
Yeah, Sam Raimi, you've seen some Sam Raimi films, I'm assuming, outside of the original Spider-Man trilogy?
No. That's the only three that I can think of.
That's perfectly fine. So Sam Raimi has a very specific style.
Okay.
He loves kind of campy horror is definitely his thing. Okay. He loves jump scares. He loves like whip pans and quick zooms and all that stuff. It's a very distinct style. And there's definitely moments in this film where you see that, but it's not present throughout, which I think is a lot of why I believe there was some post-production meddling, because there's clearly a Sam Raimi film there. I personally am not the biggest fan of Sam Raimi's style. I know a lot of people are. I wouldn't hold that against the movie. Mm-hmm. If this was just a pure Sam Raimi film, I would acknowledge that not necessarily my style, but could still be a good movie for sure. This wasn't. It was muddled throughout for me. But there were definitely hints. If they had done pure Sam Raimi cheesy horror throughout, instead of just like the couple jump scare sections, and I feel like it kind of more caught a groove towards the second half of the film, I think it overall would have been much better. And we'll go back to the musical note fight. I don't even know what that was.
Yeah.
There's no basis for that. I mean, a lot of the movie was just Dragon Ball Z, like Kamehameha, Powerball, oh God. And then, but then like suddenly they're like, oh wait, we've had too many Kamehamehas, let's do music notes. And it's like, that was a weird choice.
Yeah, I was fine with the initial concept, like use it as a projectile, but then once the orchestral fight went back and forth, I'm like, nope. No.
And like, so like going back to that fight too, I thought the CGI in this film was really bad. Like some of the environmental visuals were great, and some of the destruction, but like the first scene that really caught me was the scene where Wanda is coming out of like the gong, she comes out of the reflection.
Yeah.
The 3D model they used of her like contorting herself was horrible, in my opinion. Okay. Obviously, everything is my opinion. It was just so bad. I'm like, what is this? And it goes back to rushing these projects. I'm fairly certain that this movie could have benefited so much from like 6 more months of post-production. Like leave it in there, let them really fine tune it and hone it down. But I just think they give themselves these deadlines. And they're like, we got to put out content. We got to put out content. I don't care what it looks like. Send it out. And then you get these messy films, and just the CG in that. And again, I'm going to bring up Moon Knight because it's all I can think about the whole time. The CG in this big budget film was comparable to the CG in their streaming service, which is wrong. It should not be that way. It should be the best of the best, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I know they definitely are trying to push that the TV content to be, you know, that level, so it doesn't feel like a lesser program, or lesser production rather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought everything looked okay from my point of view, except the fucking eye. The eye.
Oh my God! Right?
The worst.
Dude,
the worst.
They literally took just like a PNG, and they just like dropped it on the shot and did the most minimal like motion tracking, and that was it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? In both instances too, and like the whole like cheesy, we're gonna end this film on like a horror movie note where like the horror's not over, his eye is back.
So I have a whole thing about the post credits. If we want to jump to that before we talk about the rest of the film, because we're tangent.
Let's go. You lead the way. I got anger no matter what.
All right. Woo! We're fueled by rage today. So post credits. Obviously, it's Marvel's thing. Phase 4 has been 2 and 2 this whole time, except for the shows. But movies, we get 2. Second one, fuck that trash. Comedy, I get it, but unneeded.
Agreed.
The first one. Okay, let's talk about the ending of the film. JC just brought it up. The eye comes back. This is supposed to signify Doctor Strange, you know, is being not tormented, but, you know, has the effects of using that evil book. Fine. Totally fine with that. I'm fine with that. He's affected by it, collapses to his knees. We see the stupid eyeball. Cuts off. Fine. Leave it at that. Suspense. Oh, what's going to happen? Just like JC said. Then we get the first post-credits. We get Clea, Charlize Theron's character. Cool. But then, I'm pretty much going to do verbatim from the other video I recorded, but please go check Marvel Plus out. But then, I'm going to go off camera for this on the stream so I can reenact this. Doctor Strange, boop, 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 Mickey Mouse walks down the street like nothing happened. And then Clea comes in, I'm a space cop, blah, 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 whatever. Come with me in this dark portal. Are you scared? And he's like, no, I'm not scared. And the eyeball goes, and they just Super Mario jump into the portal. How does this make sense? You just had this man dying in the street out of pain. And now he's fine. You could have done the same thing, which I also said in the other video. Same thing. Change the whole atmosphere. Doctor Strange in the Sanctum Sanctorum, however you say it. He's having a rough time. He's sad. He's mad. He wants to know what's up with his forehead. Why is he like this? He's trying to solve it. It's all dark and spooky in there. He's got a fire. Who cares? Then we hear a mysterious voice. Hey, Doctor Strange, I hear you fucking shit up, or whatever she said. And then she walks from the shadows. We get the Clea moment. Oh, Marvel fans know. Okay, cool. She does the same thing. We open the portal. I need your help. And Doctor Strange says, okay. Totally different. Does the same thing, but isn't stupid. Like, you just have to change a little bit.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. You want to know what that is? It's bad writing, which is a lot of what this movie suffered with. I know it's that. But it's also gotten to the point, like, I've just become like numb to these like new character drops. We're like, oh cool, Charlize Theron's now in the MCU, great. But it's like that's exactly how Eternals ended. Oh cool, Harry Styles, is it Harry Styles?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Styles is now in the MCU, great. At the end of Shang-Chi, cool. No, not Shang-Chi. The Eternals, oh cool. You know, Blade is now in the it's just all these like they keep ending all these movies the same exact way, and I'm just becoming numb to these. Like big freaking name actors, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, oh cool, another actor in the MCU.
Yeah, we need to kind of harken back to Phase 1, where we had moments like Thor or Coulson seeing Mjolnir. Like, just spice it up. Do something different. Like, that's all. We like reveals. Okay?
Yes.
Like, okay, I know you're not a wrestling fan, but shout out to the wrestling fans right now. When they debut people, sometimes they'll do like a lights off, lights on thing, and they'll just be magically in the ring and they'll whoop ass. They do that too much now. It's like it doesn't mean anything. The electrician's back there just flipping switches. It's lost its spunk. Same thing. You gotta spice it up.
It's exactly the same thing. I completely agree. It's just like I groaned. I think at that post-credit scene, I was like, ugh. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's cool. Like, once again,
Is
it's
it cool?
It's okay. Harkening back to Phase 4 is fan service. It's
Yes.
a cool moment for people who know that character, the Doctor Strange lore. It's cool. How they delivered it, not cool.
I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, if we're gonna talk about fan service, do you want to jump right into the Illuminati here?
Hell yeah! This is probably the highest point, in my opinion, of the film.
So you enjoyed the Illuminati?
I loved it. Now
Okay.
I understand later portions of the Illuminati how that's controversial. I'm a pro for it. Do I wish things were different? Yeah, in some certain ways, but that's a selfish thing. But I get it for storytelling aspects. So, Illuminati gets revealed. We knew from the first trailer they were in there. We knew Professor Charles Xavier was making his return thanks to, his voice being in there. Illuminati confirmed in this film. Xavier in his 90s wheelchair from the cartoon and the 97 X-Men fucking music. I popped hard for that. we get Baron Mordo in there. All right, cool. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. We get Agent Carter, fan service for What If. Popped for that when I saw the Shield. JC's shaking his head no. He's pissed. We had Captain Marvel, which is Monica Rambeau confirmed, the friend of Carol Danvers. I thought it was cool. Didn't recognize the actress when I saw it, but deep dive later. We get Black Bolt. He's kind of a staple for the Illuminati. Do we really care too much about the, those guys after that failed TV show? No, but it was cool. And then we get the big one that everybody was fan casting that JC also doesn't seem very happy about, probably because the phone didn't performance. We get John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, which I popped hard for too because I didn't see it coming. So yeah, obviously for my energy right now.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm genuinely glad you enjoyed that scene. I would have loved to enjoy that scene. I would have. So I'd be curious to know too, are we going to get John Krasinski actually as Reed Richards? Is this just a fan service, like little cameo? But also, if it is just like a fan service little cameo, I would have enjoyed it a lot more if he didn't look like his whole family was being held hostage and he was being forced to be in this movie. Like, he did not give a shit.
Yeah.
And I felt like, but I think that's just, for me, again, I felt like that through the whole movie. None of these actors cared. Like, so John Krasinski's like, hey, I'm Reed Richards. No, don't do that. And then he's like, I'm a father. I have a wife and kids. Oh, no, I'm dead. Like, that was it. That was the entirety. I will say, I did, the one of like 3 parts of the movies I enjoyed was Black Bolt making his own head blow up. I think that was genuinely really kind of cool. But so I felt that it was all these characters in there were fan service. They were not only fan service, they were cannon fodder.
Yeah.
And just for like a scene that I think was supposed to be like dark comedy, but to me came across like edgelordy. Like they're like, we're not Disney, we're dark and gritty and we kill people and look at all these heroes, they're dying. And it's like, you just introduced these characters. I don't like half these characters. I don't care about them. Now they're dying. Yay. Like, what it seemed like to me is somebody on the production team watched James Gunn's Suicide Squad, was like, wow, this movie's successful. What's in this movie? Oh, dying superheroes? Cool. Let's dying superheroes our movie. Yay. And then Disney was like, well, we can't kill important characters. Fine. Cannon fodder. Yay. And then just So to me, it felt like a payoff that was unwarranted and undeserved, and it didn't land.
Okay.
But again, all my opinion, obviously, I'm really genuinely glad that you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. They were definitely cannon fodder, and I think that was maybe not needed, but I think it was crucial because we're constantly pushing Wanda. Obviously, from her first appearance being experimented on until now. We know Wanda's powerful. Push her, push her, push her. Would I have appreciated a little bit more of a fight back from our newfound friends? Yes. I appreciate Captain Carter getting a moment. I appreciate Captain Marvel getting a moment. Shut up. I would have loved to see Mr. Fantastic more. Just something. Yeah. Just a little something. Like just the reach and then he'd be ribboned out. I mean, I get it, but selfishly I wanted more. The Black Bolt thing, honestly, I'm fine with because honestly, what is he going to do? We saw the demonstration of his power, which I appreciate because that gives general audience like, oh, this is what this guy does. You can't really do that in a fight and keep everybody else safe, as far as I know. So I feel that was fine. You could make it his death be the oh shit moment and then have the others kind of do stuff like you did with Carter and like you did Marvel. Doesn't have to be super long, but at least, like you said, they're fucking heroes. Mm-hmm. They took down Thanos in the 838 or whatever number it is universe. They have to have some credibility. So let them do stuff. So a mixed bag. I get it from a story point. We need to make Wanda feel like a threat. Give these people a little bit more to do. And then, yeah, the Charles thing, like, I loved him being in this movie. I like that we got to see him attempt to do what he could do. That was brutal, seeing him get his neck fucking snapped. Jesus Christ. And then what's Baron Mordo doing? Just chilling in a hole? I've been defeated. I can't climb out.
He's still stuck in that hole to this day.
Apparently. I will say one thing that I thought would happen, but obviously didn't. So we saw the Ultron sentries.
Yep.
I almost thought Ultron was going to be in one of the chairs. Just because the sentries were there. I was like, that would be a curveball.
Right. Because there was so many like what if connections anyway that it seemed like we would maybe get Ultron, but we didn't. Yeah. I think to me, like that, they wanted that scene to be their, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield moment. Mm-hmm. So, here's the shiny keys. Mm-hmm. But like the keys weren't shiny enough for me. Gotcha. So I wasn't distracted by them. But also, I do think this movie could have landed better with me if What If hadn't come out first. Okay. Because they took a lot of this plot line from the What If plot line. Okay. With Strange. So I think that kind of spoiled it in a way for me. Maybe if I hadn't watched What If first, I would have enjoyed this movie a little bit more.
Interesting. Okay. Fair.
But like also going back, the dude's stuck in a hole. Yeah. We don't know what happened to him. Why is he not there? It goes back to me to like small little details of bad writing. So like you just mentioned, the Illuminati killed Thanos. Yeah. When they went back to that flashback, which is supposed to be the end of this crazy big fight, Doctor Strange was dirty, wounded. They're all standing there, pristine, clean, just in their hero poses. I mean, you couldn't put dirt on their face. You couldn't put a little blood or like it's lazy. And I think what it was too is I don't think any of those people were ever in the same room together. I think that was all comped. Gotcha. Which is also probably why John Krasinski didn't do well. Mm-hmm. But like it's the laziness, like the horrible writing when Strange escapes and the woman frees America and they're running and suddenly the cape shows up and like off screen they're like, yeah, I fixed it. What the fuck fixed it? Who fixed it? How did you release it? Why is it here all of a sudden? Or when like Wanda finally has America at the very end and she starts sucking her power and then like 10 minutes passes and she's still sucking her power. And then we go back somewhere else and we come back, she's still sucking her power. It's like, dude, she is dead. Right. Like it's the sloppiness and it's just the cheesy sloppiness and all it's blah. And also personal pet peeve. And this is a totally petty thing. When they went to Earth 838 or whatever, this is a directorial choice. They jumped from 24 frames per second to 60 frames per second. Oh, and I hate the look of 60 frames per second.
Okay.
So that entire universe to me was just like, ugh, this is so ugly.
Interesting.
So and again, that's nitpicky. That's on me, personal preference. If that was the only thing wrong with this movie, I wouldn't hold it against it. But just a little icing on top of the poop cake that was this film. In my opinion.
This is the first time I've heard, like, obviously frames are a thing in film, but this is the first time I've heard it come up in a film conversation. I've heard it in video games all the time, and like, bro, I don't see shit. Like, I can't tell. It blows my mind that people can tell. Like, obviously, yeah, if things drop frames, you can tell because it's the difference of the norm. But like 30 to 60 to this and that, I'm like,
I fully acknowledge with video games, the more FPS, the better. That's fine. Most TV is broadcasted 60, like news and stuff. That's fine. But films should not be 60 frames per second. It's like, so, have you ever like noticed the soap opera effect when you're watching a movie? Like motions seem too crisp and there's like no motion blur and it like doesn't feel filmic anymore. It feels like reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe of 60 frames per second.
Oh.
So when you jump from this really filmic look to suddenly I'm watching like, Jersey Shore, like to me it's so ugly. It's just so ugly.
Gotcha.
So that's a nitpicky thing. I don't hold that against the movie. Just weird choice in my opinion.
So yeah, you mentioned the What If tie-ins. We got Carter in there. We got to call out to Doctor Strange controlling other Doctor Strange to combine his mash and his universes.
Yep.
Zombies, kind of. We kind of like that's probably the closest we're ever gonna get to a live action.
There is talk of them doing a full live action zombies.
Oh really?
Yeah, that has come up.
Interesting. All right, we'll see. It'd be different. Give it a try.
I think so. Like to go back and touch a little bit earlier, you were asking me like what my feelings were like for the future of Phase 4.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get like too into it because we hadn't discussed Doctor Strange yet.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm hesitant now.
Okay.
I will fully admit to you that I am hesitant. Doctor Strange hurt me bad.
Gotcha.
It really genuinely hurt me bad. I'm very hesitant. I'm scared. Normally I'd be like, hell yeah, Thor 4, the first hero to get a fourth solo movie.
Right.
Taika Waititi is very, very competent, good director. If he's sort of kept in check, it's going to be great. But now I'm like, oh no.
Gotcha. That's fair.
Doctor Strange, it scared me, bro. It scared me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're 25 plus films deep into this thing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward. I've talked with a couple different people, and I'm like, even like Kate, who doesn't watch the movies, and I'm trying to like convince her first off to start watching them, but like trying to explain it all because I know she doesn't care, but like she, takes interest in my interest and let me talk about it. And I'm just like, when does it become too much? Like how many connecting tissue can we make? And Phase 4 like is just building upon that. And in a way it's troublesome, and then in a way with also the multiverse stuff of the fan service, it's almost like it doesn't matter. Like it's just like one and done. Like the Spider-Mans, we're not going to see them ever again. We're not going to see Doc Octopus again. We're not going to see, this version of the Illuminati. You question if Krasinski was going to cast in the Fantastic Four film. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does, because obviously they look the same from universe to universe, but then there's the differences. Maybe we get a different actor in there, and that'd be fine. And like this is the little fun part of like, oh, it's Xavier from the Fox movies and the X-Men. Like that's his appearance in the MCU. Done. I don't know.
I'm glad you said that too, because this is also something I kind of wanted to touch upon you with. Is I mentioned it earlier, quantity over quality kind of conversation. Like, at what point do they oversaturate their own market?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really tough for me to find time in my life to consume all these movies, to consume all these shows. You look at that like slate of logos they have coming out over the next like 10 years, and there's like freaking 50 of them. But it's like to the point that I feel, and it's not a fair comparison. So from the very beginning to Endgame was like lightning in a bottle, this concise, this well-crafted, developed and driven character dramas, and like it was like perfect. And obviously they could never, and I don't think anyone ever expected for them to like reach up to that caliber again.
Right.
But it seems like instead of even trying, they're like taking the route of let's just bombard people with shit and like something's got to stick for somebody, you know. And that's why I feel, to me, all this stuff is just so rushed, because they're not worried so much about putting out a quality product. They're worried about keeping them in your mind, keeping them in front of your eyes on your television screens, on your movie screens. And I feel that we're, as viewers, suffering because of that. Although I do have to admit that it's mostly for like these younger generations now, and younger generations are into the whole TikTok and social media thing. And that's a whole other conversation, obviously, but it's instant gratification viewing. It's short form. It's a little bit more raw. And it seems like that's definitely seeping into what I'm seeing in like the Marvel universe. And being the old millennial that I am, I don't enjoy it. I really think they could benefit from, let's do maybe one show and one film a year. Take your time, make them well crafted, well thought out, just make them good. And, you know, that would be great. Or flip side of that, we had up to Endgame. It was a great run. Let's just do one-offs. Let's not connect them anymore, you know, and then maybe independently they can all be stronger productions. I don't know. I don't know the solution. I don't get paid billions of dollars to do this. I just pay money to consume all this. So I'm curious of what your thoughts, if you feel like maybe we're hitting that point of oversaturation, or if I'm just a cranky old man.
Right. So, yeah, burnout. Yeah, that's been a conversation not I've had, but like has been in the spectrum for a while, of just even superhero films in general, of like there's too much oversaturation, like you mentioned. Yeah, it's, now that we've had this conversation, definitely with Doctor Strange, it seems like a step down. And I mean, I still enjoyed, you know, pieces of it. Like I said, I think it's a fun movie, and like it's okay. It's interesting to think about it in the grand scheme of things. Like you said, the Infinity Saga, Iron Man 1 to Endgame, that was a concise, full story. Now we need to build to the next big bad, which seems to be Kang, the Conqueror. We've had tastes of that in Loki. That seems to be the focus in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But at least right now, there's call-outs to things, but there's not any full connective tissue. Like, obviously with Phase 1, S.H.I.E.L.D. was the connective tissue. S.H.I.E.L.D. wrangled everybody together. Phase 2 is a little bit more shaky of like what exactly was the connective tissue. I guess you could say Thanos, because that's how Guardians got pulled in. And then more of the stones, like the stones were also the connective tissue. We don't have necessarily this build for Kang right now. We've seen obviously the elements of it once again in Loki, and eventually we'll see it in Ant-Man and Wasp. But in the other films, there doesn't seem to be any like thread per se. We have kind of a tease with Shang-Chi, and something is, you know, being called out to with the rings. But then Eternals goes on a different tangent where it's like the giant things, I'm blanking on what they're called, but the Galactus type fuckers, you know.
So what the hell was their name?
I don't remember.
God.
But yeah, so anyways, they're going on that tangent. And then you have Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are obviously multiverse. So you have like all these different paths going on. And I think what would have helped, I think we might have talked about it before. If not, maybe it was just me and Marvel Plus. With Loki, we have the moment at the end where, you know, we see that branch of timelines. And then obviously later on he comes back and Kang's in charge again. The movie should have been from that breaking point of Loki, like everything's just going, and then like Loki's end is like down the road where it's connected back again. right now, I thought the multiverse would just be explained by the branching tree, but it's being explained differently with the Doctor Strange spell and now girl who can punch holes in multiverse. Like
Star-shaped holes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's been her thing since 2011. I did some research on that too. So it's just, it doesn't seem to line up like those elements, and that makes it confusing. And it's just like you said, right now it's almost one-offy, but it doesn't feel like it commits to be one-off.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if a bigger break to figure out this next saga would have helped. I assume Feige's taking care of all this. That's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. It seems like, maybe he's cracking a little bit. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know this man's plans, but I don't know. It's interesting.
It's tough too. So you wanna assume you're ingesting all this because they are building up to like a big bad, another big crossover, right? Mm-hmm. But they keep introducing all of these A-list talent characters that it's almost going to be impossible for them to wrangle all these people together for a big film unless they're all just green screened in together, which is a problem that I've been noticing with a lot of these modern films too, is all these people are just green screened in next to each other. Like no one's ever acting in the same room together.
Right. And I think that's something that Feige has said himself is there will never be an Avengers film again. And I even talked with it about Kate. Like that moment, Avengers assemble, and you see all of them, you see all of good and all of bad charge at each other. I'm sorry, but I don't think you can top that. That was something special. The hammer moment of Cap picking it up, the first time he says Avengers assemble, seeing all these motherfuckers pop in that you didn't expect to be in this movie. Why is Howard the Duck there with a gun? I don't know. Like, it was insanity.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To think like I could picture another moment like that, but I don't know if it carries the same weight, kind of thing. And that's like, oof, I don't know. Like you mentioned, lightning in a bottle. That is hard to capture once. Forget even twice. I don't know. That's, yeah. Oof.
I think it's really cool that we were able to experience like the Infinity Saga because, crossovers have been done before, but not to like this extent. Like this was a really big shift in how Hollywood like runs, as you can tell, because everything's a connected universe now. Oh my God, kill me. But like it was a very cool thing to experience. And I think what should have happened is maybe like mentally I should have backed off a little bit after that, because I should have known that, this wasn't going to be able to happen again. But instead I still ran full force into it. And I think Doctor Strange is the first time where I actually sat back and I'm like, how much longer am I going to commit to this? You know what I'm saying? So It's like, where are we going? What are we doing? And how are we going to get there? Because so far the ride of Phase 4 has been iffy. I'll call it iffy. There's been some good, but it hasn't been any great in my opinion. And then now we've hit what I would consider a pretty big dip. So it's interesting. I have, and I know you have, and a lot of people have devoted a lot of time to this super ridiculously interconnected story. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Papa Griff says in chat, maybe this is too big for this show, but what is the whole concept of the multiverse that doesn't overly complicate things and lead to all these stories? Oofa. Okay, let me see if I can break this down. Whew. Okay, so I'm gonna mirror this to comics. So let's take this one storyline. This is Cap, this is Iron Man, this is Thor, this is whoever the fuck you want here. This is your canon universe. They all progress at the same rate. They're all doing their own things. Eventually they'll team up here and there, blah, blah, blah. Goes on. The theory of the multiverse is this same canon, but like thousands upon thousands, millions upon millions, all happening at the same time.
Yep.
There are slight differences. For example, Captain America is British, so it's Captain Carter instead of Steve, which JC's not a fan of. Maybe in this one, Thor's an asshole and does this thing. Maybe this one, for some reason, T'Challa's brought into space and not Star-Lord. Like, and they're all doing their own thing. So it's a way to kind of... It's like the fork in the road. Do you choose left? Do you choose right? Both are now storylines. If I chose left, if I chose right. So it's all these webs upon webs of choice factors, whatever you want to call it. So with the multiverse in the movies, it's exploring that. For example, with Doctor Strange. We have this Doctor Strange. He wasn't the Sorcerer Supreme. Avengers did their thing, blah. In the Doctor Strange that were introduced at the very beginning of this film, he is Defender Doctor Strange. So he has a different role. He's slightly different powers. He has a different look. Then there's another one where he is Sorcerer Supreme. Not in this film, but in general. There's one where he's a really corrupt and evil and like really pursues the magic. It's like all those different options. Hopefully that explains it. I think that's the easiest way to do it. But like JC said earlier, like, when does it get too convoluted? Well, yeah, if you're thinking about all these universes. So in the Marvel Comics universe, from my understanding, there seems to be two main canons. There's 616, which was confirmed in this movie is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're 616. Don't ask why the number is that way. It probably has something to do with Marvel Comics and their history.
Yeah, there's a significance to it. I just don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
I think it might have been someone's street address.
Maybe. So 616 is like the main canon. And then there's another one, which I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but I think that's where like a Miles Morales comes in and other characters. And during certain big comic events, they've had crossover between these universes. So the one I can think of, there was this event called Secret Wars, which was, I believe, in the 80s. And then they also had a run in the 2010s. And that was like multiverses crossing each other and whole Jesus Christ, chaos everywhere. Everything was blowing up. I couldn't say words. Everything was on fire. So yeah, that's essentially what it is. Yeah, just a lot of possibilities. Just kind of like exploring these different avenues, I guess you could say.
The cynical answer there is now, from a Hollywood standpoint, death means nothing in these movies.
Which also has meant that in comics, but yeah.
Yeah. So now it's a way to string fans along, like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is dead, but if he ever wants to renew his contract, we can bring him back in from another universe.
Or we can bring in Tom Cruise as superior Iron Man, as we thought in this film before it was Captain Marvel.
I gotta wonder, that was either like a brilliant fake marketing campaign or that got cut somewhere, because I heard too much about that for that to have just been online speculation. Like, well, that's an interesting one.
I don't know, because, okay, I thought of the other universe comic-wise. So there's 616, and then there's their Ultimate Universe. And when they relaunched the Ultimate, or they launched that line, it was like early 2000s. They like based their heroes off certain personalities and actors. And Tony Stark was based on Cruise, so...
Yep. And Samuel L. Jackson was the bassist for that Nick Fury, and 100%. Then he ended up being in the movies, which is brilliant.
100%.
I do gotta say, them confirming that the cinematic universe is also 616 is kind of bizarre, because Mysterio in Spider-Man was like, I'm from Universe 616. Like, did he just randomly make that up and somehow got it right? Like, are you kidding me with that? There's an infinite amount of numbers, and he threw 3 together, and it happened to be the proper designation.
Right.
Come on. What the hell is that?
Let's see. Papa Griff says in chat, so you'll never really get closure on any one line that diverts from the main canon, because infinite possibilities. Yes, essentially.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so that's why, like, if Infinity Saga was the end, that would have been a nice, neat bow.
Yes,
but
exactly.
We got to keep exploring from there. So Mrs. G in chat brings up another interesting point of the Doctor Strange film. that I personally noticed. I don't know if you noticed. So Wanda's whole mission, obviously, is to get her kids. She wants to be a mother, doesn't have the kids in this universe because she hocus pocus made them, and then that whole thing blew away. So we see the kids in the other universes. There's no sign of Vision anywhere. Did you pick up on that?
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. And then my other follow-up question, okay, who's the dad? Or did she hocus pocus these ones too? She could. I'm just curious. Like,
I have nothing but cynical answers for you.
Okay, I mean, hey.
So I think realistically, Paul Bettany's out of contract. They didn't feel like paying to get him back.
Okay.
So they just didn't mention him. You could go back and say bad writing, but you could also say that it's the multiverse, so there's infinite possibilities, which can be used as justification for bad writing. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's the multiverse. I do have to say probably the realistic answer is he's out of contract and they didn't want to pay to get him back.
Interesting.
But also he may have been able to put up a better fight, or he may have been able to sway our Wanda in a certain way if she encountered him again, that she wouldn't be as pure evil.
True.
I guess that's my non-cynical answer. From like a story perspective, he would have proven to be too big of a hurdle for this movie to have existed in the way it did.
Gotcha.
But no, I definitely noticed that. I'm like, we're going. I think his name was brought up once. I think I heard Vision come up one time
at the very beginning.
There was no mention of him in the other realms. We didn't see him. We didn't even see like a shitty photo of him on the wall.
Right.
We didn't see anything. So I was like, that's interesting. I did notice that, and my cynical side went, it must have been too expensive to bring Paul Bettany back to these films.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to come back eventually, because at the end of WandaVision, we see that white vision. I don't know what other name we're calling him, but like the melding of the new robot and his consciousness.
Yeah.
Together. And they're flying around somewhere, but yeah. Who knows?
Will we see him? I don't know. Will we get a Moon Knight season 2? I don't know.
I mean, it seems like it for how they're leaving that off.
Seems like it. They didn't announce anything yet.
No, I mean, that's smart. Being patient like you wanted them to.
There you go. I'm contradicting myself now. Go slower but faster.
Yeah.
I think this, to me, Doctor Strange was the first time I really felt like maybe they're not in control and the MCU has gotten so big and convoluted that it's unwieldy for them now. I don't know. I think, like I said, the multiverse is a really convenient and easy way to be like, oh, this isn't, this breaks canon. Oh, well, it's the multiverse,
True.
So I think, what we all want from the multiverse is Thomas Jane's Punisher to come back, because that movie was spectacular.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if they keep relying on that, because it seems like we're out of that spectrum. Spider-Man being done, and then Strange being done. As far as I know, there's no confirmed titles with multiverse in there, but I guess there could be remnants in the characters, because once again, we talked about Jane. Is she a multiverse, like from a different one, or is she actual Jane? Where's Mjolnir coming from? Is that how they explain the Panther thing? I doubt it, but who knows until we see it, obviously.
I think, it's scary because it could be literally their crutch for everything.
Yeah.
Like, I do think there's a very good chance the Jane we see in that Thor is a multiversal variant. I think Black Panther would be an interesting... I just had another one in my mind that I thought might be multiversal, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, Spider-Man. There's going to have to be a way... they're not going to leave him hanging where Ned and MJ don't remember him forever. So there's got to be a way to fix that.
So that was an interesting note of this film, too, that they blatantly made sure to make a point of. Doctor Strange remembers who he is. Wong remembers who he is.
Well, so they never erased Spider-Man from people's memories. They erased Peter Parker from people's memories.
You are correct. I stand corrected. Oh, yeah, they did just say
but
Spider-Man.
There's still a lot of thought that, like, Strange crafted his spell in a way where he knows who Peter Parker is still.
Okay.
And maybe no one else does.
Gotcha.
That's definitely a theory that floated around for a while. But then also the theory was Doctor Strange in Spider-Man was a Skrull. So I don't know, like, if any of that's true, setting up for secret invasion there. But,
What? Okay.
Seen this?
No.
Like, they made,
how did he hope?
made...
Well, I guess anybody could magic because we saw the ox there randomly. Like,
also, Ned can magic. Why couldn't a Skrull magic? You know?
Yeah, it's just. I guess we already did that when fucking WandaVision, because Fury. Wait, was it?
That wasn't WandaVision, but Fury is a Skrull, or was a Skrull.
Right, that was.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah, because he's up
Captain
in.
Marvel. It was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, because he's up in Sword Base.
No, was it Captain Marvel?
The Skrulls were in Captain Marvel, but
Right, but what movie was he a Skrull in? Spider-Man? Was it Spider-Man?
Yes, because of the
Okay.
Mysterio.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Bro.
who the freak knows?
Oh my god. I mean, like, that makes sense, but the Skrulls are good in this universe, so it doesn't make sense too, because...
But they've already announced they're doing a Secret Wars thing, so there's
Right.
got to be some bad Skrulls.
Well, they're doing wars and invasion.
changing- Yeah. Who the...
Yeah. Let's see. Mrs. G in chat says she thought the sister was going to be Black Panther. Yeah, I think that's the confirmation, which... anti-vax, I'm not super stoked about that, but, you know... They gotta do
It
what
is
they gotta
hard
do.
to separate artist from art sometimes. It is a struggle for me too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this character isn't the actor. The actor may be a shit person, but, you know, the character's not.
Yeah.
But so I think she is going to be the Black Panther. How's she going to do that? I don't know. They burnt all the flowers except for one and then gave it back to Chadwick. But also, how are they going to explain where Chadwick is? We'll see. I mean,
yeah.
we'll have to see. I really don't know that they're going to kill him off in universe. They might do a thing where he's in costume for the beginning. It's a full CG or it's a body double.
Yeah.
And they have the ability now to replicate voices. That's a thing that they can do digitally. So maybe there's just like quick scene in the beginning where he's like, you know, I'm off. Or maybe it's not even based in Wakanda, because didn't he put Shuri in charge of like was it New York City?
Oh, the like school or like the
wherever that was based. I think he put her in charge. So maybe that's where it takes place.
Maybe.
How she becomes a Black Panther, I don't know. But also they're talking about bringing Killmonger back. How the hell they do that? Multiverse.
Well, did he die?
Yo, he died.
Bro, it's been a while since I've watched these movies. I gotta rewatch.
he dead. He
dead.
like Tobey Maguire at the end of No Way Home dead. Stabbed straight through.
Gotcha. Okay. Ooh, yeah. All right. Shit.
It's messy, man. It's messy.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's a factor that's out of their control. At least, Jesus. I didn't mean that, Chadwick.
Quick, edit it out. We're not live. Cut it quick.
Oh, God. It's a factor out of their control, so that's something that...
Exactly.
They are forced to change. So, that's unforeseen circumstances. So I can understand the turmoil there. The rest we'll talk about, but... Yeah. Well, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma911, and today I was joined by JC, a.k.a. at Music with Friends. JC, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, man.
Thank you for having me and letting me rant uncontrollably.
It was fun.
At least 3 Zoom sessions. They kicked us off twice, right?
Yeah, bastards. It was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to revisit this down the line. I know we've talked about getting one Mr. McAuliffe in on this too.
If you could do a format where we just battle to the death, the 3 of us just battle. Although I feel like you're generally a pretty solid neutral middle ground, so you're like Switzerland.
Hey.
And then Jake and I will just like fucking fight to the death. And you can award points. Make it a game show.
Okay.
Whoever presents the best argument between Jake and I gets a point.
Okay. I'll see if I can start putting that together. That was a lot of fun. If you guys want to join in on the fun, you can go to twitch.tv/Enigma911 where the show is live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat like Papa Griff and Mrs. G did today. If you're a subscriber over there, we'd love to have you in on the conversation. But if you can't catch it live, that is A-OK. Drops over on YouTube and podcast services the very next week, or it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, #ad merch store. Get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us, and we would love you for it. JC, you're the best, man. Thanks for being on today. It was a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
We'll have to figure out the next one. Viewers, thank you guys for hanging out, giving this a watch, giving it a listen, give it a chance, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.